This is Sugar Daddy, Part 30 of Surrogate, the Director's Cut. Written by Trin, SSJ Trinity. The rating is mature. No archive warnings apply. The fandom is Malevolent, the podcast.
Additional tags. Who knew being bookended by two halves of an eldritch god could have a medicinal effect? Child death, mentioned. Starts heavy, gets lighter. Voices by Lynn Larsh as Sadie and John, Jasper as Arthur, Lith as Dis, Vmprsm as the narrator and Faroe, Flamia as Hoster, SSJ Trinity, Kriva, and Somniat as the work introduction. Editing by Flamia, directed by Vmprsm, transcript by Saffron, created and posted with permission from the authors of Surrogate, the Director's Cut.
The thought was unsafe, unbelievable, unbearable. So, Arthur concentrated on everything else. The music for the games was coming along. He still wasn't in the kind of shape he'd enjoyed in his 20s, but he was undeniably better than he'd been. He still didn't know what the fuck Dis had meant by Sugar Daddy, though, and it was beginning to drive him nuts.
Arthur had a conundrum. The part of him that loved logic, that loved clues, that loved piecing together puzzles, even when there was no puzzle to piece, could not deny what John had said. Tess had put Faroe in the bath and walked away. "But it's my fault for leaving her there," he responded to himself, because if he did not, he might feel less monstrous. And to feel less monstrous would be to deny the guilt he carried, the echoes of the people he'd murdered, and the enormous messes he'd made, the dreams of stabbing and burying and burning. Tess put a toddler in the bath and walked away. No, because if he felt less monstrous, then he didn't deserve to suffer, and his situation became untenable. He had to hold it together. That meant accepting this. It was earned. Right? Tess had put his daughter into running water already deep enough to kill her and walked away. The thought was unsafe, unbelievable, unbearable. So, Arthur concentrated on everything else. So, the music for the games was coming along. He'd made a grand theme, vaguely Ride of the Valkyrie, but slower and deeper, and woven in Haster's heartbeats until John got worked up. So, his personal fitness goals were on track. He still wasn't in the kind of shape he'd enjoyed in his 20s, before he'd started a diet of alcohol and rage, before he'd gone through the prison pits and vagrancy and violence. But he was undeniably better. So, he still didn't know what the fuck Dis had meant by Sugar Daddy, and it was beginning to drive him nuts. He wasn't stupid. He knew the term. Haster was in no way, in any reality, in any world, his Sugar Daddy. "What's a catamite?" Faroe had asked years ago, and had hopefully, by all the gods, forgotten. Arthur was not a catamite. For one thing, if that had been going to happen, it would have during one of those spring rites, and it never had. 5 had passed so far. They always ended the same way, with happy drunk John and sad drunk Haster, weirdly jostling like puppies for his attention and his voice. Haster remained in denial, pretending it never happened, and thus failed to make preparations because to acknowledge it would make it real. So, the bed broke every year. John, at least, found that funny. No catamiting occurred. Arthur was not being fucked by anyone, and doubted anyone was lining up to do it either. So what the hell had Dis meant by Sugar Daddy? Damn. he was going to have to ask. Dis pushed him, focusing on his core strength, helping him through the weirdness of trying to aim and throw when he could not see. At least acknowledging she could hear John had simplified the process. John was still jealous of her, and that was a whole other kettle of fish, but Arthur had no emotional currency to deal with it right now. Often, Sadie was around. She really was a victim, and he couldn't remain in denial over that if he tried. John was always so happy to see her.
Welcome, daughter of the yellow sign.
Which made Arthur feel weird, and that was a whole other kettle of fish. At first, he did try denial. Then he realized her situation helped his conundrum because it served as a reminder of his failures. Example, braining an insane old woman with a rock because she'd been a cultist and chased him. Arthur tried to focus and threw. He flexed his sore hands. Calluses were developing thanks to all of this.
Jess.
Yeah?
She handed him a new javelin.
I have a question about the other day. When I asked you about why I was competing.
Did you talk to him yet?
No, but you...
Finish your homework, composer.
I don't want to talk to him.
Too bad. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Be a big boy and handle it.
She always made him feel like he was bristling, like a hedgehog.
Fine.
He finished his exercise. He went inside. He showered.
You don't have to talk to him, Arthur. More to your left.
Arthur located the towel.
Thanks. And yes, apparently I do.
Look, I can just ask him whatever you need to know. Or I can guess the answer.
No. I need to ask him a couple of things. Might as well get it over with.
A couple?
Most likely, John had missed the sugar daddy comment, didn't know what it meant, or even thought it was accurate. Arthur could feel he was making some faces.
I'd rather have this conversation only once.
You're sure?
I'm sure.
Suit yourself. He's in the Blue Garden.
Because, of course, Hastur was. Arthur hated the Blue Garden. He knew it was pretty enough. Lit by a luminescent fungus on the walls, it cast a gentle blue light and a sweet floral scent over what John assured him was an open, beautiful space. Black gravel lined the paths, and benches encouraged contemplation and peace. Arthur didn't feel peace. Blue Gardens made him remember the one time John, in anger, used Faroe against him like a brick. Not good places. He hesitated in the doorway, breathing carefully.
You sure about this?
Yes.
Arthur stepped in. Gravel crunched under his feet. Water ran somewhere. A delicate trickle, lovely and considerate.
She's ahead, Arthur, facing away from us, towards the field. Faroe's playing out there. He's just watching her.
Her voice, light, unintelligible, trickled like the water, a babbling and distant joy. He had to be sure.
She's not close enough to hear us, right?
No.
Hastur?
He's not turning around. What is it?
Hastur was as thoughtful as this place was supposed to make its visitors.
Are we alone?
He's turning around now. Slowly. Why?
I have a couple of questions.
And of course, you would choose to ask them now, in one of my last remaining moments of peace.
Arthur stiffened.
How was I supposed to know that?
Pastor, it's just questions. Come on. Of course, John.
Pastor either did not know that John's favor had been weaponized, or was maybe the one wielding that sword.
We are alone. Ask.
Arthur started with the less fraught option.
Why am I competing in the games?
Because you must. You represent me, as heinous as that idea is.
Why the fuck do I represent you?
He's coming closer.
Pastor grabbed Arthur around the waist and picked him up.
Hey!
Be still.
Arthur did, stiff as a board, pushing pointlessly at Haster's grip.
Because currently, you are the only one among my people who is marked. If I had any other option, believe me, I would use it. I expect nothing but humiliation from you.
He stroked Arthur's hair, a gentle touch utterly at odds with his words. John pushed at Haster's hand with his own.
Quit it! Wait. The only one? The only one.
Haster petted Arthur's head again.
Bullshit! You've got Green! You've got the Saboteur twins! You've got Elise! You've got Zop!
Haster's sigh was somehow even heavier, red dwarf levels of unhappiness.
Dead, 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 and dead.
Arthur's eyes went wide.
I thought the mark meant protection.
It does. Unless the god who owns is too injured to act on that desire.
That sounded bad. John, though. John sounded like grief.
What? How? How? Green stumbled into a hidden enclave of elder things no one knew about, near Kapar Nombor, and was torn to shreds before I could reach him. This was after you'd been taken from me, John. For some time, I lost my ability to portal.
Arthur remembered that. It was why the hotel, and the mirror, and the mess with Sadie's family, and why they'd been hurled into the dreamlands.
Oh, gods. I didn't feel that happen. I'm sorry.
Arthur frowned.
Feel that?
Green served me for 400 years, Arthur. I will not describe that loss to you. The twins? The twins were in Carcosa when Cain... Fuck.
You feel it when somebody marked dies?
We are connected, soul to soul. Of course I feel it. Elise? Elise died in childbirth.
Your child?
Don't be absurd.
How is that absurd?
Fuck me.
John was still on topic.
You're serious? How the fuck did you let that happen? She did so while I was traveling, trying to find a way to separate you. Again, I could not reach her in time. I tried.
Haster sounded like grief, too. It had not occurred to Arthur that Haster's weakening would have a result like this. Saving people wasn't something he generally associated with the King in Yellow.
Gazop.
Haster was silent. He cupped Arthur's face, ignoring the attempt to turn away.
Hey, I asked you a question. What happened to Gazop? Gazop died protecting me. After we were torn from one another, I was insensate for a while. The pain was... He protected me until I could recover my consciousness. He was dead before I could summon the power to save him in return.
He protected? Of course he did. Of course he did.
Something you do not understand, Arthur.
Hastur pinched his chin to turn his face as though studying.
Those who are marked are loyal to me. Marking is a gift. It is an honor. It should go to those who deserve it and those alone. For one such as you to bear my mark is...
He's worthy! Even more than all of them! Even Gazop!
Hastur parried that statement to thrust with his own.
If I'd had my way, I would have kept you, make no mistake. But as a project, you would still be screaming. Your cries would be so common that they would be regarded as birdsong, ubiquitous, meaningless for their frequency. Yes, you would be alive, and I would be finding new ways to torture you still.
He'd heard this before. He swallowed down the sick, knee-jerk response of sour fear, of anxiety. If Cain had not defined his role... John's rage was rising, and it burned. Burned in Arthur's head, burned in his veins as though John had gone acidic. And Arthur spoke his first, unconsidered thought before this could go any further.
I don't think that's true anymore.
John stopped short, as if reined to a halt.
What?
Oh, don't you?
I don't.
Arthur shoved at Hastur's hand.
I don't think you like me or anything, but I don't think you hate me like you used to.
Arthur?
Hastur lifted Arthur to his face. Arthur could feel the size of him, the heat, the presence, filling the air with a thickness like oil.
Perhaps you are right.
Arthur hadn't expected that.
What?
You are not completely without merit, I will admit.
Oh shit, now what?
However,
There it is.
if you were truly mine, I would have long taken steps to ensure less rebellion.
And for no reason Arthur could determine, that pissed him off.
Rebellion?
You are obstinate, stubborn.
Arthur's bristles rose all over again.
Arthur, he's baiting you.
Which was pointless, because the bait had already been bit.
That's not true.
It is. You are disrespectful, obdurate, for no reason other than the fact that you can.
Arthur.
I am not those things. I give you every fucking thing you ask for.
And why are you like this? Because you're special. Cain likes you, the mother watches you, and so you can get away with being a brat.
John had no mouth to hang open. Arthur did, but it didn't stay that way for long.
Fuck you!
His cheeks burned.
You fucking self-centered son of a bitch. You get everything you want. You think I'm stubborn? You think God damn, you are... What the fuck? I'll show you fucking obdurate.
And he began kicking Hastur as hard as he could. It sounded a little like a rubber ball bouncing on thin carpet.
Arthur!
His enormous mass shook, as if his entire goal had been to summon this anger. Arthur could feel the tentacles on all sides of him moving, stirring air in their weirdly emotive undulation.
What? I don't understand.
Lovely. John, you should thank me. When did he last respond with such color?
Arthur was still trying to kick him.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Peace, composer.
Hastur wrapped one tentacle around Arthur's legs.
Do not bruise your toes. You need those.
Fuck you!
Yes, yes.
Arthur, he's just being an ass. Calm down.
Oh, am I? I hate you, Arthur. And yet, I do not. The mark for one, John's influence for another. I would as soon see you suffer as shine. And yet...
And yet what, you fuck?
Hastur squeezed too tightly for just a moment, just enough to prevent one inhale. A warning.
I believe you will do well in the games, in spite of being human and weak. You will of course be immediately disqualified, but I think you will shine before you are. And I find that when you shine, Arthur, I am pleased. Almost as much as I am when you weep.
Arthur was gobsmacked.
You don't... Fuck. You have no right to be a part of those times.
Do you think I can avoid them? Do you think I am unaware when he hurts, John?
You do not have any say in how he feels or what happens when he's low.
Curious words from one whose anger causes such suffering.
What?
But the question had been building, and suddenly, in the middle of all this weirdness, Arthur could not wait a moment longer.
Why the fuck are you being called my sugar daddy?
In the ensuing silence, the babbling brook almost seemed a cacophony. Arthur's breathing felt incredibly loud, foolish.
What?
It fucking means
I know what the words mean. Who is using them?
lots of fucking people.
Arthur protected Dis by believing it, letting the certainty of it resonate through him.
Gossip. It's just gossip.
You are not my sugar daddy.
I am very much not your fucking sugar daddy.
You'll fucking never be.
I never planned to be, you absolute mite of a human.
This time, it was John who started laughing. Hastur went stiff, tentacles stilling. Arthur stopped puffing quite so much.
Sugar daddy.
And suddenly, Arthur got it. He'd been so close to it that he hadn't seen. This was not a serious thing. This was not even important. John was right. It was the stupidest, most ridiculous idea ever bandied about by idle gods.
Sugar daddy.
Arthur joined in, a tenor counterpoint to John's deep bass, and reached across to grab John's hand. The tension melted like salt in water, washed away and vanishing. Hastur cleared his throat.
Yes.
And then Arthur felt him, felt in his soul that Hastur wanted to laugh too, that he was resonating with John, with him, feeling the humor, and had to fight to not join in. What? What was this? Was it the mark? How was that happening?
Very amusing. You had your fun. I, however, have things to do that involve...
Arthur knew that Hastur had been about to use Faroe's safety to upset him again, and then changed his mind.
Go away. I want to be alone.
And Hastur put Arthur back down. Hastur had an opportunity to cause hurt, and he hadn't done it. And Arthur felt...
I'll try not to fuck it up, okay?
He responded to that small mercy.
The games. Whatever.
I know.
Hastur turned back toward the field.
Everything you do completely, with all that remains of your shattered self. I have wondered sometimes if that was the thing about you that mattered so much, but no. It is a symptom, not the cause.
Arthur wasn't sure he knew what that meant.
What does that...
Go.
Come on, Arthur.
John was still metaphorically grinning from ear to ear.
Let's get the fuck out of here.
Arthur went without another word. The brief resonance, the strangeness of feeling Hastur was already gone. A fluke? Probably. Something to do with John and that dual mark? Possibly. Whatever it was, he hadn't seen it coming and did not know what to do about how right it had felt. It felt like John, but not. A shift in frequency, perhaps, or heat, or something. Like John, but still home. Like a place he could curl up in and sleep for 1,000 years. None of that made any sense for Arthur. But it did for them, didn't it? They were home to one another. They needed each other, no matter how much John denied.
More to your right, or you'll run into the wall. Sugar daddy. Fuck's sake, Arthur, you could have asked me.
And what Arthur wanted to ask now was if that home, that rightness, was what they felt in his presence. If that was why drunken Hastur would show up in his room a few times a year and smash his bed and hold him like a stuffed bear. If this is what they felt all the time, and he was in the way. No wonder Hastur hated him. The words were stuck in his throat. He couldn't. He didn't want to know how John would respond, if those words would hurt him. Arthur was vaguely guilty that he'd felt it at all. Well, he could not deny it, but he didn't have to acknowledge it either.
Yeah, I guess I could. It's better than I feared, though. I'd been afraid he was sending me out to compete as some humiliation tactic.
He probably is.
No, I believe him.
Arthur prayed John would not ask him to elaborate as to why. Then he thought of a way to avoid it.
So you knew all those other marked people?
John's humor popped like a ripe cherry.
I did.
I'm sorry.
Don't be. They were awful. I mean, they were his. He made them that way, and we chose them, and were chosen by them. And I know their deaths were terrible. I didn't know they were gone. I hadn't realized how weakened he was when we split.
Arthur frowned.
Is he getting stronger again? He's not weak like that now.
Of course. We're gods, Arthur. We regrow. Death or binding is all that keeps us from being ourselves.
Our. Arthur couldn't get into that. He couldn't dig for more. He wanted to stay in the happier place for now, and maybe he felt like he was allowed. Maybe he'd earned that much. Or maybe it was this connection, this lingering thing that John, and Hastur was there too, but did not bear considering, did not see him as monstrous. He felt the truth of it right at this moment, and he found himself making a joke.
Growing into a sugar daddy, you mean?
Only if you're growing into a sugar baby.
They both laughed all the way to Arthur's rooms, making increasingly obscure puns on sugar and sex, confusing anyone who overheard.
You fucking did it, Arthur!
He hadn't heard John praise him like that in years.
I hit it!
You hit it.
Sadie, whether she'd understood or not, clapped. He'd done it. He'd actually done it.
You got the target! Fucking hell, Arthur!
Uh-huh. No coasting. Time to burn it into muscle memory.
Because, of course, success, to Dis, just meant more work. That was fine by him. He wanted to do it again. 3 tries later, he did.
Fucking yes, Arthur! Yeah!
Arthur grinned. His face hurt with it, but he couldn't seem to stop.
Looks like whatever chat you had yesterday paid dividends. Hit it 2 more times, and we'll call it a night.
Sure. Wait,
Arthur lowered his arm.
you knew I talked to Hasta.
1, you just confirmed my guess, so don't do that in the future, dumbass. 2, I guessed because of what we said yesterday, plus your whole mood today. However it went, it obviously had a happy ending.
Arthur could not tell if Dis were making some kind of dirty joke and chose to focus on throwing instead. Within 5 minutes, he'd hit the target twice more. John had figured out how to instruct him, and Arthur had figured out how to angle himself according to those words. This felt amazing. Sadie cheered.
I drew it?
This accompanied by the delicate sound of paper being torn from a notebook.
She captured your movement, Arthur. The angle of your hips, the twist of your torso, your arm drawn back like some ancient warrior. Arthur, this looks so good.
Of course, John wanted to keep that one, too. Their hiding spot in the closet was beginning to get full.
Magnificent.
John took it with his left hand.
Tomorrow, same time. No breaks just because you don't suck as bad.
Sure.
And Arthur smiled.
Will Faroe be back?
Not tomorrow, but the day after, yes. Work real hard, and you can show off.
Arthur's smile ached again. Maybe his face muscles needed the workout.
That was great, Arthur.
They headed back inside. This was allowed, or maybe Arthur was wrong and he'd pay for it later. But right now, it felt good to laugh with John.
Least a good sugar baby can do is aim for a happy ending.
Arthur hijacked Dis's line. And the two of them made stupidly ribald jokes and kept each other chortling all the way until it was time for bed.
Quite sticky, I'm sure, but I'm not sure if it would be sweet.
And as he fell asleep, still aching with smiles, John's hand tracing unknown patterns on his chest, he thought that maybe, for once, he might not have bad dreams. He was right.
If you enjoyed this production of Surrogate, the Director's Cut, please read the original written work on AO3, where it is still actively updating as of April 2025. A link is in the work notes, where you can also find the social medias of all the production cast. Malevolent was written and produced by Harlan Guthrie, and all characters depicted here belong to their respective creators. The cast and management produced this show for no monetary gain, and all rights remain with the authors. Any sound effects or music used in this production were obtained legally or created by the production cast. Please let us know your thoughts, and, as Kane would say,
stay tuned for the next episode.